With a subtle nod, Skeletor signaled to Black Skull.
Make him look.
Black Skull grinned sadistically, torch still in one hand, as he used the other to roughly seize a handful of Haman's golden mane. With a cruel yank, he forced the captive hero's neck to flex painfully, pulling his head back far enough to give him an unobstructed, upside-down view of the largest brazier that loomed menacingly beneath him. The implication was as clear as it was horrifying. The worst was yet to come.
Hey man. Do you really think you can remain still when the underworld's fires engulf you from below?
Skeletor hissed, his voice a malevolent whisper that clawed at the very air.
It's your choice. Squirm, and let the axe shred your very being. Or keep still, and become a living pyre. Which circle of hell will you choose?
He leaned closer to the captive hero.
Or just beg. Plead for mercy. Surrender your pride. And acknowledge me as your master.
Forced to arch his neck painfully by the cruel tug on his hair, the muscular slave caught a glimpse of the massive brazier below him, filled with coal and awaiting ignition. Though he couldn't see its full scope, the mere sight of it was a sinister omen.
Do as you wish, Skeletor.
He growled, his teeth clenched against the ache radiating through his scalp and neck.
You won't hear me beg. Not now. Not ever.
Skeletor's eyes met those of Black Skull. He conveyed the unspoken but clearly understood command with a chillingly silent nod. No words were needed. The gesture alone held the weight of a death sentence. The chief tormentor, torch in hand, understood the gravity of the moment. With an almost ceremonial gravitas, he touched the flame to the coal of the largest brazier beneath his prey. The effect was immediate and visceral. As the brazier ignited, a wall of searing heat blasted upward, engulfing Haman in a suffocating cloak of agonizing warmth. He could feel his sweat evaporate almost instantaneously, adding another layer to his physical torment. The axe, embedded in his back, seemed to absorb the heat, its metal becoming a secondary source of anguish. Its sharp edges dug even deeper into his already tormented flesh. In that torturous moment, it felt as if the mythical beast had awoken from the underworld, exhaling a breath of infernal fire, seeking to consume not just flesh and bone, but the very soul of its victim. The axe was its venomous tongue, a grotesque extension of the searing fire. As if alive, the metal seemed to pulse and writhe with each agonized twist of its prey, injecting new layers of torment into the already beleaguered body. Haman's every sinew and muscle fiber seemed to tremble involuntarily as the heat escalated. With a monumental struggle, he endeavored to remain still, resisting the instinctual urge to escape the searing pain. Limbs, torso, and core muscles tensed in a concerted act of defiance against the unyielding Inferno. His frame contorted and writhed, searching for some phantom respite from the all-encompassing blaze. His neck muscles tightened, straining to lift his head as far away from the scorching flames as his restraints would allow. The movement was limited, but infused with the willpower that defied his cruel circumstances. In a gesture of stubborn defiance, he raised his chin, elevating it to distance his body and soul from the torturous heat below. His teeth gritted together, a clenched barricade against the rising tide of agony. The Dark Lord leaned closer to his captive as he took in every twitch and writhe of the muscular frame. Like a predator savoring the final moments of a hunt, he pressed the sole of his boot against his prey's face, forcing it to remain stationary. This simple action turned the screws of torment tighter, robbing Haman of even that small measure of relief.
Still trying to evade your fate?
Skeletor sneered.
I'm afraid there's no escape this time. Not even in the small ways you seek.
The voice dripped with sadistic pleasure, each syllable a poisonous taunt, punctuating the unbearable reality of his prisoner's situation. Captain Dolar sidled up to Skeletor's ornate chair. Leaning down, he whispered something into his master's ear, his words barely audible, but filled with import. Whatever revelation he shared had an electrifying effect on the Dark Lord. The unsettling widening of Skeletor's grin and Captain Dolar's mysterious whisper made it chillingly clear that the depths of their sadistic imaginations had yet to be fully plumbed. As the tension in the room thickened, it was as if the very walls were closing in on Haman. hinting at an unspoken dread that weighed heavily on all present. If the dragon's snare had seemed a relentless tormentor until now, a horrifying thought gripped the hero. That diabolical device, it seemed, still had more unspeakable torments to unleash.